Welcome back to the Feast and Femme podcast. We are your hosts, Rami
and Alicia, and today we are sitting down to help you reflect and take a little bit of a look back upon your 2025. The highs, the lows, the good, the bad, the ugly, and everything in between. And we're actually going to give you some actionable steps that you can take, a little bit of homework after this episode, so that you can go back, reflect, so that 2026 can be even bigger and better. Ramia, let's kick it off.
Facts. All right. First things first. We want to just audit the year, okay? If I were you, I would break this down into like tabs, and whether you want to write this down or type it up or whatever, because you want to be able to get it out of your head in case you're someone that's like, oh my God, I'm so overwhelmed with the year I've had, or you feel like, you're in a state of like, I didn't achieve anything or whatever it is, like guaranteed you did. So let's break it down, whether you want to break it down into fitness and health, money, business, relationships, whatever it is. Allow yourself to just break it down into the tabs that apply to you, even work, career, whatever. And then just notice the goals that you did set for yourself. And if you didn't, this is clearly your sign to set some goals for next year. If you are that girly that did set goals, or even if you didn't, that's okay. It's still a great way to audit how all of those things went. Were you trying to go on a weight loss journey this year? Were you trying to make X amount of money? Were you trying to get into a relationship? Whatever it is, look at each of those things and ask yourself, did you achieve them? Did you do your best? Could you have done better? And just be really honest with yourself. Like, just take the emotions out of it with this task specifically, because if we get too emotionally invested, then you might want to give up, or you might be annoyed at yourself, We'll get to the feelings part later. But just for this, just allow yourself to go in there, kill the ego. Radical honesty is the best way for you to actually audit your year, because you don't want to sort of half-ass the audit because you're embarrassed or whatever it is. Go in there and be like, cool, I set a goal to lose 7 kilos. Did I achieve it? Yes. Fuck yeah. No. Okay. Why didn't I achieve it? And what do I need to do for next year? That's pretty much the general gist for the first tip there.
I only have one thing to add. I find it really easy, helpful to do it month by month, because I feel like when we look at the year, you forget about the whole first 6 months or so many things that you look at and you're like, fuck, I completely forgot that happened, because it felt like last year or ages ago. So even in that, I even sometimes use my camera roll. I'm like, oh yeah, that happened. And like just refreshing your memory, because it's so easy to look at the year as being the last 3 months, whereas there was a whole nother 9 months on top of that. So I feel like that's the only thing that I'd add there. But I think something really important is when you do your audit, when it all comes up, there is going to be some emotion that comes up with it. It may be happy, it may be sad, it may be frustration, disappointment, shame. So many different things can come up. And depending on the month of the year, like you might have gone, fuck, April was the worst fucking month. I did shit all. Or that was a great month and I hit XYZ, whatever. And just allow it to be what it is. It's not good or bad. It doesn't mean anything about you. It just is what it is. And I think the biggest thing where people go wrong is we go down the shame spiral instead of using it as data. And I always love to say this, but where you can actually look at that and go, okay, that happened. How can I learn from that situation and do better next time? Because I said this in a previous episode, but we don't have a time machine. We literally cannot go back and do anything about that. You made that decision, that situation occurred. All we can do is go, okay, I now have all of this evidence and all of this data, so that if that was to happen again, I can do different, because I know what it would change in that situation. And it's sort of like when you have a conversation with someone, then you leave and you're like, oh, I should have said this, or I should have said that. And it's like, you're always going to have so much more knowledge when you're looking back on it rather than when you're in the moment. But I think it's important to look back on it without the emotion and remove that as much as the emotions are going to come up. When you're looking back on it, to refine and to learn, just sort of take a step back and go, okay, how could I approach that differently? So that if it was, say, a weight loss goal, I could have actually hit that instead of not. Or yeah, just be able to learn from everything that you've done.
And just remember, with whatever emotions that come up, emotion is just energy in motion. It's going to pass. And like I said before, the more honest that you can be, the more you're going to be able to learn. Because my next tip is, if there are things that you didn't achieve and you want to achieve for next year, because we're all about goal setting, then choose differently, and that might require you to sit in that shame, to sit in that anger, to sit in that frustration. And like Alicia said, instead of going down that shame loop, just look at it as like, cool, I'm feeling shame because I didn't achieve the weight loss goal or whatever it was. Great, what are some actionable steps, or what did I learn from that? Because I think a lot of people, if they didn't achieve something that they wanted to achieve, they'll look back at it with that shame and go, I'm not good enough, I'm a failure, this, that. And what we really want to teach you is that those emotions can coexist with, okay, but I am going to do better next year. Okay, you can look back and be like, fuck, I wish I did more. I wish I did this. But like Alicia said, there's no fucking time travel machine, as much as people probably wish there was. But what you can do is create a better future. You can create new choices, new decisions, new things, so that you're not having the exact same year. Because if you're looking back and you're reflecting and you've done your audit and you're like, fuck, more of that was negative rather than positive, that's your fucking moment right then to be like, do I want the same thing to happen over and over and over again? Or do I want to get honest with myself, feel my emotions really quickly, knowing that they're going to pass, and then create a plan so that it's so much fucking better next year?
And I think this is going to sound so silly, but it's been something that I've been thinking about. I've been listening to a lot of finance podcasts, and they say in terms of investments that past performance isn't an indicator isn't an indicator of future performance. And I think it's important to remember that with yourself. Is just because something happened like that at that time of year last year doesn't mean it's going to happen again this year if you don't allow it. And we always have a choice to do different. So I think it's important to allow yourself the benefit of the doubt. That's the word that I'm looking for. That just because you've made those decisions in the past doesn't mean you have to make those decisions again. The next point is comparison, and we love to talk about this because I think it's really important to acknowledge that every single person on this planet Earth is going to have a different perception of what their 2025 looks like. There's going to be people who experienced a lot of loss in 2025. There's going to be people who got engaged, got married, had babies, and it was the best year of their life. And being okay with that, and that doesn't diminish from your own experiences as well. There can be someone who had the absolute best year of your life. There can be someone who had the worst fucking year of their life, and both can exist and be okay. And I think it's really important to, again, it's about the shame and getting in those spirals of not going, oh, well, they got this and I didn't get this and poor me and that's so unfair. And just maybe that's your journey, and maybe that's what your 2025 had to look like. And I'm a big believer in everything happening for a reason. And sometimes you don't want to fucking hear that when it is the worst year of your life, but there's always a greater purpose for the really shit things happening. And even I'm going to use Rami for example, like she lost her dad. She went through such a hard breakup. And without that, she would have never been here today doing the work that she was doing. And in that moment, she would never want to hear that or know that or anything.
I hated those people.
But
straight up. I was like, I know one day I'll appreciate
and now
this.
she is one of those.
I know.
But also, without all of that happening, she would literally never be here today. So I think also, again, zooming out, taking a step back to be trusting in the process, that we have to have the shit times to be able to appreciate the good times, and to be able to have all that gratitude for the life that you do have.
Yeah, which ties in perfectly with our next bit, which is gratitude. And yes, you may have had some really big or negative or scary moments this year, but we don't want to put all of our focus onto that, because a year is actually still a really long time. There are a number of days, weeks, months that you've still experienced. And if you're that person that's like, oh, I had a shit year and it was only because of one big moment that you decided not to deal with, it's like, okay, now you're putting yourself in lack, and you're also forgetting all the beautiful little moments. Maybe you're forgetting about the moment your friend bought you flowers. You're forgetting about the moment that your cousin bought you a coffee. And it's like, they're little things, but that can still add up, where you can look back and be like, actually, I still grew so much this year. I received so much this year. And it doesn't necessarily have to be one big, bold move. Like for me, equally, yes, I quit my job, which is fantastic. But the first 6, 7, 8 months of the year was a lot of fucking stress, anxiety, fear. And yet it still coexists with me thinking, fuck, this was the best year because I quit my job.
Yeah.
And that can coexist. It's like, but if you asked the version of me, the first half of the year, I'd be like, this is the fucking worst year ever. But it's like, instead of focusing on that, because I could still turn around and be like, this was the worst year because I spent 6 months in a job that I was really struggling in. I'm turning around and deciding one decision that I made turned this whole fucking year around. And I guess, you know, when you guys are listening to this episode, there's still a little bit of time. And if you're thinking, fuck, I could still make one decision that's going to increase my gratitude or make me feel so much better, then do that. You still have the fucking time. And again, if you are someone that's living in lack and you're really struggling, just write them down. Write down, like Alicia said, even if you pick each month from January to December, and this kind of ties in perfectly with writing a letter to yourself, and that's what I do each year. I write a letter to future me, and then I also, this is actually something that I do at Chickmas with the girls. We reflect on the year that we've had.
I love that.
Yeah, and we always set goals collectively, and we never look at the goals until we all catch up. Like, I've literally got them on my notes. I don't even look at them. Like, the willpower, I'm like, nah, too bad. We set these goals. And even if you don't want to do it by yourself, that's another great way. Like, get some friends, get some family, grab your partner and be like, hey, do you want to sit and reflect on the great things that have happened this year?
Yeah.
Each month, because equally, Alicia and I can look back and think, fuck, there were some mistakes we've made. There's some things that we did and we're like, what the fuck was that? But equally, we're so fucking grateful. And like Alicia said, everything always happens for a reason. You're here right now for a reason. You're listening to this moment in this episode for a fucking reason. And we're sitting here to tell you to just go and practice that gratitude straight after you listen to this or whatever time you have today. And once you list them, I guarantee you'll flip whatever perspective you have on this year. Whether you're sitting there thinking it was the worst, I didn't achieve this goal, didn't achieve that goal. Once you write all those things that you're grateful for, I guarantee you'll turn around and be like, actually, I still fucking grew. I still learned. I gained a friend. Maybe you cut someone off, whatever. Like, there's so many different things that you can be grateful for.
Yeah, love that. Our final tip, and this is your homework, is it's time to set some new goals based off of what the year looked like, what you've learned, all of your experiences. And I think something really important when it comes to goal setting is setting goals that are actually important to you rather than what you think you should be setting. Because I think it can be so easy to fall into, okay, well, I'm going to save for a house, or I want to lose X amount of kilos or whatever. And then they never happen because clearly they're not important to you. And it's sort of that thing of, I truly do believe if you want it bad enough, you're going to do something to make it happen. So you could look at, okay, for the past 5 years, I've been wanting to lose 10 kilos. Do I really want to lose 10 kilos, or do I actually just want to feel fitter in my body? Do I want to be able to go on a hike without huffing and puffing and having to take 10 stops? Because there's a big difference between the 10 kilo weight loss goal and that fitness goal. So it could be really small tweaks like that, and actually just getting really honest with yourself of what goals are important to me and what goals, if I set them, I'm actually going to be really upset if they don't happen. Because I think it's really important when we do set goals, they need to sort of strike a bit of a chord in you and make you feel like, oh, I am driven, like I need that to happen, because if that doesn't happen, it's going to make me feel some sort of way. And having that emotional connection to your goals so that they are important. Like, don't set these fluffy little things of, I don't know, I want to buy a Louis bag, but you don't give a shit about having a designer bag, because it's never going to happen. That was the only example I could come up with my head. But this is where everyone's goals are going to look so completely different, because what could be important for Rami to achieve may not have any meaning to me in my life, and what could be important for me may not matter to her to achieve. So getting really personal with them.
Yeah, I wanted to add on, because I like what you said about just the word should. I've learnt to take that out of my vocab, because I always say this to my clients: if you think you should have, then you would have. Okay, and I think the word should is the ego, just being very much like, okay, well, I should have made this much money, and I should have done this, I should have done that. And that's all just hindsight, right? Because you've got new information, new wisdom, new feelings now. But if you're sitting there thinking, I should have achieved this once you're doing your audit, it's like, no, because if you should have, and this is where you have to get really real with yourself, if you think that you should have achieved something, you absolutely would have, right? So you just got to look back when you are setting those new goals, pretty much tying back into the start of the episode of, once you've done your audit, sit and set new goals and think, okay, well, if I didn't achieve it this year, what were those reasons, right? And this is where Alicia's made a really good point about being realistic. Is it because of the heavy workload that you've got, or the people that you've got in your life, or whatever? Because it's like, many other little things might need to change in order for you to achieve that one goal.
Yeah.
You know, like I set a goal to do a half marathon in February, and I'm like, well, in order for me to do that, shit needs to change. I need to run more. I need to do this. I need to do that, set a new program. It's like, it's not going to be the same goal that I set at the start of this year, which was to run 10K. I'm like, well, we're pushing it now. So you just got to meet yourself where you're at, accept the goal, and just accept that if you think that you should have done something, you would have. So it's okay. You didn't, you accept it, and you just fucking go balls to wall for next year and just fucking smash it.
And I think on that, be really aware of what barriers are likely to come up and stop you. So look at whether in the past it is lack of time, willpower, like motivation, whatever that is, and go, okay, cool. Well, how am I actually going to counteract that when it does come up? And doing that like forecasting or almost looking ahead to be like, okay, so when someone does, if your goal is to not like to lose weight, when someone does offer me that second piece of cake and I really want to say yes to it, what's going to be my way to stop that from happening? And just starting to put those things in measure now so that when that does arise, you already have a way to tackle it. And I think that's a really helpful way to just be prepared, because things will come up, challenges will come up in any single goal that you set, and we'd be silly to act like that's not going to happen. So that also helps you to just have a bit of a plan of attack when that does arise.
Totally.
So good.
We'll leave it at
Done.
that. Thank you so much for listening to this episode, all of our cheeky extra ones. We've got our final Christmas episode coming out this Thursday for you guys on Christmas Day, which is super duper exciting. But again, as per usual, pretty please if you can give us a follow on Spotify, rate us 5 stars, I can't speak English, and subscribe on YouTube. It would mean the absolute world to us, and we just want to say a huge thank you for listening.
We love you
We love you all so much.
And if you do set any goals, we'd love to hear them. We're
Yes,
here to keep you
please.
accountable. Slide into our DMs. But apart from that, we'll see you soon. Bye.